time for all your binge-worthy pop culture news. Welcome to Up and Adam.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back and happy Wednesday. Okay, so I know that we're back to talk about the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. And last night, between the not getting the word predator right to the you can leave and the waiter all of a sudden being security, we have a lot to discuss. And I know that our Salt Lake City housewives are watching as well. So we're just going to try to be authentically ourselves, knowing that we got the eyes on us. Now, before we bring up Jason, I wanted to say thank you to everyone in the live chat. Hit the like button, do all the YouTube things. But also, I wanted to remind you guys or announce, because I didn't even say this yet. So I guess it's just an announcement. We are going live tomorrow at 12 p.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific with DeuxMoi, which is going to be so much fun. This is huge. This is a big deal. As you know, DeuxMoi does not show their face, so we're not going to get a face out of it, but we will get them on the live. And then on Friday, this could be maybe something that you're really excited for or something that, I don't know. But regardless, we're having Kelly and Rick on Friday to talk a little bit about what's going on in Orange County, considering there's a lot to talk about right now. But with that, let's welcome Jason and get into some Ice Queenness. Hello.
Hi, some Ice Queenness. I'm actually really excited to recap Salt Lake City with you. I don't know if we're doing this all the time, but I haven't recapped with you since like season 1.
Oh my God. When we first, do you remember when we first started and we were in the premiere like viewer party for Meredith with Dolores there?
Yes, that's right. Wow. It has. Everyone's come a long way. Let's just say that.
We've all come a long way.
We've all come a long way. I have to say, I don't know how you feel, Adam, but I wanted to ask you how you're feeling about this cast only being 3 episodes in. For myself, I have to say, I'm truly enjoying watching. I'm laughing every episode. I am cringing every episode. I just feel like the ladies have kind of, something has hit like a perfect spot right now that we haven't seen in the first 3 seasons. But
no,
how do you feel?
I completely agree. So far, this is my favorite season. I think that with Meredith, I think that whether people like it or not with the Jen Shah of it all, I think that was really heavy and people didn't know how to navigate certain things because she was going up against the Southern District of New York. And what can you say? What can't you say? If you bring up what's going on and she can't talk about it because of her attorneys, are you just an asshole? And then that all of a sudden becomes your storyline, which takes away from like what's going on in your family, what your
Well, it
other
also puts the
relationships
rest
look like.
of the cast and the rest of the ladies in a predicament, right? They're kind of in a sticky situation where they don't even know what to say. They don't even know how to react because if you're too friendly with Jen, people might not like that. But if you're standing by her, people might not like that. If you are hating on her, people might not like that. So the ladies had a lot of choices to make and a lot of like moral grounds to stand on or to, put themselves in. But wow, I mean, we're still talking about Jen Shah 3 episodes into
this season. Wait, can I say really quick? Mary Cosby is the most awkward, but such great reality TV. Like, Mary, come over here. Girl, I don't know you. Don't talk to me like that. Like, don't call me. It's like, what? And then she walks into this like boutique store that like especially in Palm Springs. If you guys haven't been to Palm Springs, there are a lot of boutique stores where sometimes they're usually just ran by the owners or like the family.
Yeah, small businesses. Absolutely.
And you walk in and say it smells like shit.
She said it smells like someone just farted. What's so great about Mary is, like her or not, she's had also some controversial things she has said in the past, but it is really refreshing to see her because I feel like she's calling all the shit out that we are calling out sitting on the couch, except she's saying it on TV. So to have that audience kind of point of view and that audience kind of eyes there, it's really, really funny. And she's not afraid of confrontation. We saw that with Whitney towards the end of the episode. She's not afraid of confrontation. She's not afraid to say how she feels. She's not afraid to tell you how you look. So yeah, it's very entertaining.
I think that I would ever want to be friends with Mary Cosby? No. Do I
Yes.
enjoy her
I would
on
have
TV?
such a blast.
You would,
It'd
oh
be
my God,
so
I
much
know
fun.
you would. But I do find her to be incredibly, like, she's very quirky, but she is very rude. But like everybody has their moments with being rude. For Mary Cosby, though, like you can't just tell people that you think they look inbred, and like that's just not a
I
nice
mean,
thing
okay,
to say.
that's rude. There is a difference between being rude and being
Mean.
forward. Well, not mean, but also just being kind of
Forward is like, hey
outspoken.
Jason, I'm gonna give you a tic tac because I just don't want you to,
Okay,
I don't want you to go
that's a
out,
good
and
friend.
I'm gonna, right, and I'm gonna be forward about that. And then rude is, yes, I think that your breath smells like ass. Like that, there is a difference, yes, and I think that she
Yeah.
is very rude. But
I don't, you know what? And so are some of the other ladies on this cast. So
absolutely,
it's okay to have her. She just gives us these great moments where she is very comfortable in her own skin. She's very comfortable with who she is and what she's doing. And that like fearlessness in her is a little it's dynamic to watch on
it's
TV.
ratings gold.
It's
It really
ratings
is.
gold.
Like
Yeah.
they did such a good job by bringing her back this season, and I kind of wish they would have made her a full-time housewife. And who knows, maybe she didn't want that.
Well, you know, there's all
But
those restrictions with being a full-time housewife,
right,
and there's a lot more commitment. So,
yes,
like you said, I don't know if she was willing to put forward all those commitments and to have
she
those restrictions on her life.
she doesn't like people telling her what to do, as you can tell. And let's kind of start off where the episode starts off. So we
Okay.
get to Palm Springs, right? And we have Trixie. Okay. Trixie's like, oh my God, the other ladies are here. And they're like, what other ladies? And then, of course, it's like 3, 2, 1. Production's like cue Whitney and Angie, and they walk out and they're like, hey,
Like,
girls.
hello, welcome.
Angie responded to my story when I posted that we were doing this recap today, and she sent me
Oh,
3 Greece flags. And is it Greece flags or Grecian flags?
Greek flags.
Greek flags. Sorry. So, see, and this is another point. Like, I'm also very ignorant and I'm learning, and we're all learning. So that's okay. 3 Greek flags. So she sent me that. So I know she's watching, but I want to play devil's advocate with this.
Okay.
One, I applaud Whitney for bringing her, because if this was a trip for everyone to heal and move on, she should have been a part of it, because that's part of the healing and moving on. And also, you hijacking Meredith's trip is ratings gold, right? Like it's like that puts
It
on.
was yes, it was planned. Whitney is stirring the pot. She's being a shit stirrer, and she did a very good job at doing that. Yes,
But let
I
me
will
be
say
very
that.
clear, like as somebody who has seen the behind the scenes, this was not a Whitney idea. This was production who used Whitney as like the go-between person to have this done, because they wanted to get Angie K in there because they knew that they would have the drama, and the drama adds to the show. So, and like Whitney said, Meredith didn't pay for this trip. Production does. So who cares, right? But then Angie K going there and showing up and wanting some sort of response when she knows that she doesn't get along with Heather right now. She's not getting along with Meredith, and coming in gunning so hard when both of them are pretty adamant about, I don't trust you, and it's not, I'm good on this. And she's like pressing. It feels like we're trying to get a moment to maintain our new housewife spot. But at the time, since this is episode 3, right? At the time, she didn't even know that she was going to be a housewife. You're still auditioning in the sense that you don't know if you're going to be a friend of or a housewife. So she's still trying to get that spot. And this moment right here reads that you're trying to get that spot, which you got it. So it worked out for you, but it doesn't feel authentic to me.
It doesn't feel authentic. And then I just can't get past that she feels so entitled to have some kind of reaction, or she feels so entitled to be here, or she's expecting some conversation, she's expecting some reaction,
Like,
and they're
who
not
the
giving it to her.
are you?
You were not invited. So if you weren't invited, I don't think you're gonna have the same invitations, you're gonna have the same response, you're not gonna have the same friendliness as if you were actually invited. But her expectations are like, it's okay, I'm here. And that is
Can I say really quick
confusing.
that it takes balls to sit there and hijack somebody's trip and then take a room before anybody else who's invited on the trip
two
takes the
best
room?
rooms, mind you. Okay, so Whitney did say that Trixie Mattel was her friend first. Actually, the
Who
only
cares?
way, no, but the only way I actually know who Trixie Mattel is because of Whitney. So
Really?
because she did collaborations with her skincare and makeup and yes, that is the only way I know Trixie Mattel. So I get that. Like that's a friend that's been around for a long time. I've seen Trixie on Whitney's social media for years. So that is not a lie. But to come and you are not the host and arrive at the hotel and take two of the best rooms, I think that one of those should have been left for Meredith, but she did get the room with the bath. So at least
It's still rude. I think it's
it's
so
still
rude.
it's
And
rude as hell.
I don't care. Like, what are we in high school? Who's friends with who and whatever? And you know what's funny too is at the moment that they pick their rooms and everybody starts getting settled in, you see Meredith walk out and she walks over to Heather's room and Heather's like, "What the f- is going on?" And Whitney and Angie are both like sitting out there with Lisa Barlow, who's very excited that Angie was invited. And I'm really enjoying Lisa Barlow this season. Um, she's very excited and they're like, well, that was kind of rude. She didn't even say hi. She just said hi to you guys. She just said hi. I didn't know that you were going to be here. Literally, that was 10 minutes ago. She doesn't have to say hi to you again. That doesn't make any sense. She
And
can walk
we have
past
to
and-
get past the shock that you're even here,
well,
right?
and you sitting there saying that she should be saying hi to you, you know that you sat there and stirred the pot by going on a different plane, coming early, doing the surprise, and being an asshole about it. So if you're going to be an asshole and she matches you with asshole energy, you have to be prepared for that because that's what you did, which warrants a response. And she's
Well,
giving you a
originally I thought they
response.
were prepared for that reaction, right? Because when they got there before and they had been around the block, like it, and toured the hotel and had a moment to sit down, Angie and Whitney, it felt like they were preparing for exactly what had happened. But then when it happened and they weren't getting the response they wanted, they're getting upset, which is
Right.
very confusing because you knew this was going to happen. This was inevitable.
This feels like poke, 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 poke. We want a response from Meredith. Let's try to do that. And then finally, after a couple cocktails that we saw last night, and Meredith got her little British accent and said, you can leave and everything, they finally got the response, of course, because the situation is alcohol induced. But my favorite part was when Mary's like, I don't know who Angie is.
Oh my
And then
God.
she's walking around the pool and Angie's like, Mary, come over here and sit over here. And she's like, girl, don't call me like that. I don't know you. I don't want to sit over there. What are you talking about?
I'm
Like,
not coming over there.
I'm not coming over there.
No, she doesn't know you. Like, and it's so funny because she is confused about who Angie is because I guess there hasn't really been any interaction yet.
No introduction. She doesn't know who she is.
No introduction. Yeah.
And you know that Mary Cosby was not watching last season of the show. Like sometimes housewives say, I don't watch the show. And then there are other housewives, and you believe it. And then there are other housewives who are like, I don't have time to watch the show, but you know they're studying it. Mary Cosby was fully okay with not watching the show, running her church, like she's in her own world. She's in her own bubble. And she is kind of like the president of her own club with the church and
Yeah.
everything else. And I learned that, when I did my sit down with her parents, which was
her
so,
mom. Yeah.
do you remember, her mom and her stepdad, who's been in her life since forever.
Right.
Do you remember when I called you and I remember when I called you from the Uber, and I think I've said this before, but I called you from the Uber right before I knocked on the door. And I was like, Jason, what the f am I doing? Why am I here? Like, I think I made a mistake. And you're like, you are not coming home until you get this interview. Like you need to.
Everything was
all of
booked.
this.
We can't just have like a camera and sound and everyone show up and then like you're like, you know what? I don't think so. But it did take her a minute to put herself together to do the interview. I remember. So
Well, yeah, because when she
Remember?
came out and she hugged me and she's like, oh, it was so sad. She came out and hugged me and she said, Adam, have you talked to my Mary? And I was like, I haven't. No, I don't have a relationship with Mary. I don't know. I've never spoken with her. And she's like, I just love her so much. I love her. And will you tell her I love her? And I was like, I don't speak with her. And then she like sat there and like she grabbed my face like this and she put her hand on she didn't grab my face. She put her hand on my face like very gently. And then she was like, I can't believe it's you, Adam. You're going to get my message to my Mary. And I remember just calling you when she went back to go get like touch-ups. And I was like, Jason, what the fuck am I doing? What am I doing?
It's interesting. I like the dynamic of Mary on the show. I mean, I don't know if she has talked to her mother. I don't believe so.
I'm going to say no.
I'm going to say no as well.
I don't know either.
But there could be a lot of stuff, that there's one side of the story there, right? You got the parent side of the story. You don't know what Mary was going through at the time too.
It's money.
I mean,
there's a lot of things involved, and it's what breaks up every family. I mean, money and greed breaks up families when people unfortunately pass, and that's the truth. Shady millennial.
That is very true.
Did Heather pee herself in the van? So funny that.
I mean, okay. Great point, Shady Millennial, because when they opened the door and
thank you for the super chat, Joe.
It was like coming out, and then you saw her puking. It was just like running. And I was like, oh my God, is she actually throwing up and peeing? But this goes back to a lot of things. And I kind of wanted to bring this up because we just had the Shannon Bedore situation happen with the DUI, the hit and run. Clipping a house, being over intoxicated. We've seen so many housewives. Yeah, that's crazy. Thank goodness that tree was there too. But you have all of these shows where a lot of these housewives are getting overly intoxicated, and a lot of people are calling for like, well, that's what Bravo does. That's what production does. I think it's different. Like when you had season 1 of Vanderpump Rules and maybe producers are feeding these people alcohol, cool. But when you're of age, like an age of the ladies on Salt Lake City that we're watching, they make those decisions on how many martinis they're going to have. They're making the decisions on how much to consume. And I think it is an issue with these shows. They drink a lot. And I don't know if it's to calm their nerves before they film.
I'm going to play devil's advocate here. You are a grown ass adult. So if there is an open bar, like if you go to a wedding and you get effed up at the wedding because
I think you're adding to my what I was saying.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I'm just saying like it's their decision to drink.
Yeah.
Right? It's especially at your age. You've been to the parties, you have families, you have kids, and it kind of makes me think, really, because everyone is under the assumption or assuming that Heather got her black eye from Jen Shaw last season, but watching Heather stumble around and being so bold, she could have gotten another black eye. That maybe we'll see one tomorrow. It's interesting.
I honestly believe that Heather fell and hurt herself. I think that's what happened. But Heather too, she didn't do herself. The story that I heard from people within production and the cast was Heather was messed up. She was drinking. She accidentally fell. She hurt herself. She hit her face. When she did, she wanted to allude to whatever and be like, I don't remember, which alludes to whatever. Like it could be Jen, it could be this, it could be that. Heather was one of the few people by Jen's side at that time. And Jen didn't throw her under the bus. Meredith, nobody threw her under the bus. And she wanted to put that narrative out there because she didn't want anyone to think less of her as a parent, and she didn't want to lose custody of her kids.
Right.
What I heard. In case, the biological father was like, this is you. This is what you're doing. You're getting so drunk and plastered. And also I heard that she hit a weed pen, but that's all alleged, right? Like who actually knows? We weren't in the room with her. I heard that she was drinking and she hit a pen and she fell and she hit her face. But anybody who knows, really quick, if you drink and you hit one of those little vapes, whether it's marijuana or not marijuana, your head goes really light. You kind of get woozy. Anyone knows this. Like it's so easy for this to happen.
To my point too, it's if you're able to get to the point where you're throwing up in a van, potentially doing other things in the van, like having a pee. I don't know. We don't know. But when you're capable of getting that far, then you are capable of falling over and hitting your eye.
I mean, hello. I literally just I went on a bike the other day and I just fell and hit everything. Like,
granted, we were riding really fast because they're electric bikes, and granted, it just rained, so it was very slippery. And then I made a full
I
stop because the beach entrance wasn't open.
I overcorrected by turning it fast because we were going to pull into the beach, and there was a gate over the beach saying that they weren't letting people have public access because the meters were down, so people couldn't pay to park there. So they ended up closing off that entrance and saying, well, since this is the private entrance, you have to go to the public entrance. So they closed off this part of the beach, and Jason turned around. I overcorrected and I busted my ass. But I'm very accident prone. Like, the other day, I went to the dentist and I had a bloody lip from where they did everything in my mouth. And then my eye has been going through it for a month and a half. Like, it's just, and now I have a fucked up arm. Like, it's just sometimes people are accident prone. And maybe Heather Gay had an accident, or maybe she's accident prone.
Well, she had an accident in the van. A lot of things happen in these Sprinter vans. The Salt Lake City Sprinter van is very famous, and they've switched to a new. The Palm Springs Sprinter van is my favorite. The white one with the lights below it, I love it. But a lot of things happen in these vans that we need to pay close attention to. But very, very interesting to. Her journey is interesting to me. Only being raised Mormon, to push away the church, do this bad Mormon book, but still have. I almost feel like she feels guilty for having fun, but then she takes it a little too far, and it's interesting to me. She is just a complex person to dissect.
I'm going to say it like this. I have a lot of respect for her because she has a business to run and a persona to protect, a character to protect. But then at the same time, she wants to write a book about being a bad Mormon, and she wants to control that narrative.
Right. But if you have a persona to protect, if you have a business, you don't want to be barfing in a van, right?
I mean, who gives a shit? Like, really, who cares if you're barfing in a van? Like, if you are the pilot of your own life and you own your business and you have your business partner and you had too many espresso martinis, no. If you're Whitney's husband, Justin, no shade. And you're going to sit there and you're going to get almost naked and roll around and know that that goes against the values and whatever of the people who are running your company, then yeah, that matters. But if you're running your own business and you are the CEO and owner, no, then who cares?
I see your point. I'm just saying this is kind of like a repeat occurrence. Something happens, your eye, now we have to deflect by alluding to other things happen. And then now we have the van. I wonder what the deflection will be the next day. I was reading someone's comment on it, and they were like, well, Heather should know that too much caffeine and too much alcohol. I'm like, girl, too much alcohol will make you puke. 5-6 espresso martinis, if you're not used to the alcohol, you will puke.
I love an espresso martini, but you can't do
6 of them.
You can't do more than 2.
No.
More than 2 espresso martinis, you're not only it's coming out of every end. It's gross.
It's so nasty.
It's so gross. No, espresso martinis are an absolute no. It's just like in West Hollywood, if you have vodka Red Bull and you have too many, they call it liquid cocaine because it gets you like, whoa, and you're like ready to fight. You're ready to go at it. Like there are
all those drinks in general aren't great for the body.
Do the Heather Dubrow and have some shams because everyone stays like really nice when you do the shams.
And a little sleepy. It makes me a little sleepy. Okay, what did you think about Meredith's kind of like outing? We're going to shop for each other.
I really do think
a plan?
Lisa here.
Oh, are you kidding me? Is Lisa going to Burning Man? Like, what is this? What is happening? And I love how she like kind of liked it at the beginning and it was kind of a joke. And then Meredith is like, oh, by the way, we're going to a really nice restaurant tonight.
Yeah, no, to be fair, none of their outfits were cute. They all looked kind of silly in their own.
I did not mind. I thought America. What am I saying?
Monica?
Mary and Monica had the best shopping kind of experience. I love how we just talked about how direct Mary is and how easy it is for her to make a decision. Decision making is one of the hardest things to do for me.
Jason, when she's like, do you like this? Like, what about this, Mary? And she goes, no. Oh, okay. And it kind of reminded me of like it was a scene from a movie where it's like, you know, I need this. And oh my God. Oh, it was White Chicks. Do you remember the one where Heather McDonald is actually in the
Yeah,
scene and she's like,
right.
I'm a fucking whale. And why are you bringing that to me? That's what it reminded me of. And she's like, I don't want that. And Mary's like, I don't want that.
Listen, I thought Monica was the most put together, followed by Mary. I thought what does she call it? The citron jacket she was wearing with the hat. I thought it was good. I thought they did a good job, but I thought that this was made and this game and outing was created for definitely people to fail. And I don't know if it was the best healing project, you know, the best team building and, you know, moving forward and forgiveness. No.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. Norma Maldonado, thank you so much, Norma. Sad to see the women drink like college students. Well, I think everybody's guilty.
No, I agree. I think, no, I know, but I think it's just been a little overboard in some of the franchises. OC, it's very overboard. It always has been, but especially these past few seasons, and especially with the Tres Amigas back together and, you know, how fast tequila goes down with them. It's, I don't know. Sometimes you can do too much whoop. Right? If you ask Vicky, maybe a little too much whooping.
I think that Vicky Gumbelson said it best. You're filming us for 8 to 10 hours for the day, and the 2 hours that we're getting like really wild with the alcohol, those are the most fun, and that's what you're going to play on the show. So of course you're going to play them getting intoxicated, and then also on top of it, some people really can't handle reality TV, like Brandi Glanville, who says that she self-medicates by drinking a lot of alcohol in order to get into some of these scenes. And that's why when you see her, she's like,
I mean, I understand
we say that you can't swim. And it's like, you cannot say that.
No, you can't say that. Yeah, I remember that scene. No, yeah. I feel like I get it. Like, I understand, like, okay, have a drink, take the anxiety away, you know, relax yourself and your mind, and then like film, and it might be pretty good. But it's just like, you don't need 5.
No.
Right. And I understand, you know, from when Vanderpump Rules was filming at Pump and I was running Pump, we used to feed them drinks and they would literally wait until they were intoxicated enough to have a really good scene. That's different. I'm saying that these women who, again, have families, who are of age to make their own decisions, sometimes are not making the best decisions for themselves, and it's playing out on camera, and it's not a good look. And we're seeing the repercussions of that with what just happened with Shannon.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but also I think that it's unusual circumstances, but I think that you are in control. You know, one thing I have to say is I remember
unusual circumstances.
No, I said unusual.
Oh, unusual. Okay.
Yeah. No, it's not usual at all. But I think that they're unusual circumstances. And you also have the ability to say no. Like, one thing that I learned from Lisa Vanderpump watching her when they would have the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills or Vanderpump Rules filming, more so Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, because she's an EP, executive producer of Vanderpump Rules. So she has a lot of say anyways. But when they would want her to do something and she didn't want to do it, she said no. And then also Stassi threw a full-on fit. Season 3 or season 4, she was outside and they were trying to get her to go in and confront someone. And they were trying to offer her alcohol. She's like, I don't want the alcohol. I don't feel good today. She was drinking water and they're like, Stassi, have a drink, whatever. And she's like, stop fucking telling me to have a drink. No, I don't want to do that. And I'm not going to say this to them. So if you want me to do that, then I'm going to leave. I don't have to be here. And that's what she said. So and look, her longevity lasted until she got herself canceled. She stayed on the show. But I think what happens is everybody, like Bethany said, you want to be a producer's darling. You want to sit there and you want to be a Tamra Judge. You want to be a Lisa Rinna. You want, like, if the producers say, hey, you need to bring this up, you want to bring it up because you want to be the one who gets invited back next season. You want to be on Andy Cohen's good side. You want to bring the ratings. You want to be the most talked about. And some people have the ability to do that by standing in their truth and saying, this doesn't align with who I am or what I want to do. And other people conform to it. It just depends what kind of person you are. Any person, though, most people, especially if you have cameras on you and you're trying to put on a show and you are presented with an open bar, like, you can say it's unfortunate that the ladies are getting so drunk, but what would you do? Let's put a camera on you. Let's put you on a reality show. Let's give you an open bar. All high and mighty? I don't think so. I don't think so. You know what I mean? I think that I think it's easy to sit there and judge, and it's like easy to throw stones. Your house is made of glass too. That's how I feel.
I know. It's very, I think you're giving it too much credit. It's not, oh, put a camera on me or whatever. I think it's just, they drank too much. And that's really what it is.
But can you imagine? I'm saying, no, I'm adding the anxious element of it. That's why they're drinking so much too. In this moment is you have cameras on.
These are all choices. Yeah.
It's all choices.
I get that. I get that. You're anxious, but you own like 4 businesses. I'm anxious, but I'm very happy taking my top off and jumping in a pool. I'm anxious. Like there's excuses. I think it's just excuses.
I know, and you hate excuses.
I hate excuses.
Yeah.
I hate them. If I'm late and I'm late, I'll say, I'm so sorry. I'm late. It's not an excuse, whatever. But it's choices always have consequences. But speaking of choices with consequences, I
wanted to ask you really quick because I want to play a video for you.
Oh God.
Initial thoughts on Monica.
The young Jen Shaw.
I think that's the problem.
I think that might be the problem. Because we're hearing all kinds of stuff. We always hear stuff, right? But I like her until I'm not gonna like her. But I like her right now. I think she's a good fit. Her energy is different. I love. Angie said that she was the one who brought her on the show. That's true, right?
No,
that's what I thought.
No. She was introduced. She already knew casting based off of the whole Jen Shaw of it all.
She used to work with Jen or for Jen. So, yeah, she didn't work for her.
Let's play the video and then talk.
Okay.
So guys, Bravo and Blaze, Jenny, as you know, she came on and she recaps with me the other week. She has an incredible Instagram and she gets all of the tea and she does an amazing job doing it. She's going to be at BravoCon. I can't wait to hang out with her. I had the best time with her last year and she's honestly just super sweet. Well, she sat down with Murillo, who is Jen Shaw's former assistant, still running her social media. And we know Murillo as Maluma Murillo because he had his blonde hair and that's what Jen called him when we did the interview. But he was her go-to. And he also knows Monica. Here we go.
Very first time, was it? I think the first time we hung out was the day that we went into Meredith's store and she said I stole the purse. So she was in there with us. Monica came. It's like kind of confusing to me because it was like her husband was like the Shaws needed to hire a handyman, so they went on like Thumbtack, and hired somebody to come hang up some shelves. And she came with the husband. So the husband got hired to put up shelves, came with him. People keep messaging me about her and wanting to know, like, was she really an assistant? Never heard about her. Like Jen's sister called me and she's like, "Who's Monica?" And I was like, yeah, she's like, why is she saying I've never heard or met this girl. Fun fact, actually, the very first time, was it? I think the first time we hung out was the day that we went into Meredith's store and she said I stole the purse. So she was in there with us. Monica came. It's like kind of confusing to me because it was like her husband was like the Shaws needed to hire a handyman, so they went on like Thumbtack.
Jeez.
Thumbtack.
Okay. So that's
okay.
Okay.
So
thank you again to Bravo and Blaze. But Monica, for some reason, unfortunately, when you put yourself on reality TV or Bravo in the Bravo world, Dorinda Medley said it best. If you have skeletons to hide, they will come out of the closet. And there is something that's not adding up about Monica Garcia. I have a feeling, I'm calling it right now, things will start to unravel and come out. The story doesn't make sense. She wasn't an assistant for Jen Shaw.
See, that was my thoughts. That was my, what am I trying to say?
Nobody is closer to Jen Shaw, aside from her family, than Murillo. And you and I know that for a fact.
Right.
And Murillo, that's it. If there was an assistant, he was the assistant. You know what I mean? He's been the assistant.
We met all of her assistants. You know, we met Murillo, who does, I think what he does hair and stuff too, and glam. We met her glam. We met her other assistant, Eddie. We met the people that were there. So it is kind of strange to have this idea that she was Jen's assistant at some point, when really, I guess your husband was just hired to do a handyman job.
Yeah. I mean,
I need thumbtack too, guys. I can't hang a shelf to save my freaking life. So,
I'm just not buying.
I'll call you an assistant if you'll come hang up my my shelves.
You know what's unfortunate here is if you see the way that she calls out Angie and she's like, "Oh, that's not cool," or if you see the way that, like at the dinner where Meredith is like, "You can leave," and she's like,
"You can leave,"
and she's talking about also, by the way, Angie. Again, with your Greek flags that you sent me. Thank you, thank you, thank you. But you're sitting there talking about Meredith and saying that nobody buys her cheap jewelry, whatever, when right now, one of the biggest storylines coming out this season is that your husband's business practices are in question. Like that, to me, it's always the people who have something that's like brewing in the back end that are the ones that are like casting the stones. And I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with Angie or her husband's business. I don't know, but guess who will find out? Everybody in the live chat and everybody watching the show, they'll find out if you have something to hide. So be careful with that shit. It's like with Shannon saying to Gina, she's like, "Oh, I was so happy to tell everybody that, I was the one who helped Gina when she got her DUI and I stopped her kids from going to CPS."
That's just plain karma, unfortunately.
That's plain karma. And that's not even, first of all, that's not how CPS works. Like they wouldn't just take the kids and bring them to CPS. There was a father involved and also grandparents who are heavily involved. And it was a stupid statement. But in this moment, when you're talking about business practices and you're saying, "Oh, your cheap jewelry that nobody buys." And then Whitney did an interview, and I'm not just sticking up for Meredith. I'm just trying to like understand everything. But Whitney did an interview and she's like, "I don't know. Like, I think one of my biggest problems is not knowing where Meredith lives." And if you watch Meredith and you see her social media, she's in Europe, she's in Florida, she's in Salt Lake City, Los Angeles, Mexico, New York. Like
she's everywhere all the time. Her business too, and she just released a caviar and she has her jewelry business too. It's everywhere all the time.
Right.
So that's just part of what she does. So I understand. I mean, because this is like the third house we've seen Meredith in, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
I think it's the fourth.
The fourth. Okay, so maybe in the season that you spend in Salt Lake, which is around the season of Sundance, and she does have a store in Park City that makes her very relevant to the show.
Yeah.
She has a place where she sits down for 4 or 5 months a year or whatever. But most of the time, if you do follow her on social media, she is everywhere all the time. It's like Carmen Sandiego, except we know where you are,
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Okay. So after the feud or whatever happened with Angie and Meredith ends up crying and then she comes back. Obviously, we have like a big, it's so awkward. And Mary is so team Meredith. Mary is so loyal.
She is loyal. I mean, she remembers that Meredith was loyal to her, but the most cringy moment for me was it's so funny because this isn't like an LA like hot spot or, this is Palm Springs. Everything's a little more calm.
Security.
Going to the waiter, this young kid who like is, I don't know, shorter than Meredith, and like, "You need to get her out. She's an uninvited guest and she is not behaving," or whatever she said. I was just like, this is kind of embarrassing. Like, go sit down and handle it yourself, girl. Sit down and handle it yourself. Don't do it. This kid is not going to.
And he's like,
yank her out.
"I can't do anything for you." And she's like, "Fuck," and just like gets like really upset. And then she storms off. And Angie wanted the reaction. She got the reaction, but I like to see in this episode where we were in the Sprinter van and Mary said, "You called me up pornography," which I can't say it on here.
I just said it. Sorry.
Okay. We'll try to bleep yourself, but you called me pornography, and you guys know it starts with a P, but the algorithm and everything, we don't want to be.
I mean, people say worse. It was really funny to me in that moment when she was trying to figure out what she said. She's like, Heather. And Heather pulled it together for like 2 seconds to say the word.
She goes, "Predator."
Predator. And then goes back down.
She's like, she comes up like this. She's like,
she's still coherent, like in the conversation. She's trying. She just wants to get to that hotel room, and we're moving a little slow. There's fights
and she's like,
happening.
I called you a ography, and Monica's like, what? Bitch, no, you did not call her a ography. And she goes, I didn't call. What are you talking about, Mary? And she's like, Heather, what did she call me? And Heather's like, predator. It's like
one of the best moments
happening?
of the night. I mean, listen, I'm not all for it. It is funny to see people like a little bit intoxicated. I'm not for the overindulgence on the show, but that was a great moment from Heather for sure.
It was so funny.
Yeah.
And you guys know that we're going to get a lot more great moments. Next week we have Whitney taking over again and putting on this like drag night out in honor of Trixie and staying at the Trixie Hotel, which is super fun. But we know that Whitney and Meredith are going to come head to head, which rightfully so. You hijacked her trip. It was going to come head to head. And I think honestly, low key, Whitney is enjoying it because at the end of the day, it's not necessarily a character flaw. It's we're putting on a show. So you kind of have to differentiate. And if you're watching the show as a pure fan who is not thinking about like the behind the scenes, then you're like, you're an asshole. And that's not how that should have went. But if you're watching it thinking about them and what moves that they have to make, calculating themselves, like they're playing chess and we're thinking about checkers. They're like, oh, okay, this is what we need to do to put on a good show. I'm going to surprise her with Angie. And production, they ended up like they plant seeds. They try to get you to do these things because they're like,
it's their job.
Yeah,
it's their job to create the storylines, to create the moments, to create the ratings. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I do want to say I'm giving this season so far, I'm giving it a straight up 9. It has every episode I've watched, I've enjoyed. I'm like I said earlier, I'm finding myself just like laughing and cringing and kind of just really enjoying it. And the episode seems to fly by. Well, the first 3 anyways. So the consistency that I'm seeing right now in Salt Lake City was the consistency I just finished watching on Below Deck Down Under, where every episode was a full episode. There wasn't like a boring, like an episode where it's like, well, this is our week where we're taking a break. You know, it's not going to be as
like a filler.
Like a filler episode.
Yeah.
I haven't seen one of those yet, and I hope we don't see a filler episode. I hope they stay consistent. And I feel like they have the cast to do that. They have Mary. They have a lot of skeletons and a lot of closets coming out this season. So we'll see.
Coming out.
You're out, friend.
Okay.
Sorry, I hate to break it to you.
Just kidding. Okay, guys. We're gonna end up exiting here for now. But again, Jason will bring it up right now. Tomorrow we are going live at 12 p.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific with Dumois, which is such a big. I mean, Dumois, like what? They're mentioned on the Kardashians, mentioned on Beverly Hills, mentioned on so many different Bravo shows. They have such a huge platform for someone or someone's to not even show their face, and they get all of the tea. Sometimes, sure, may it not come true. Yeah, but it's because all of the tea is anonymous. But most of the time, they are breaking the news before any other major media outlet. So I'm so excited to have them on. And
Months
then
in the making. So fun.
Yes. And then on Friday, we have Rick and Kelly, guys. Kelly Dodd, Rick Leventhal. We're talking about the Shannon Medora of it all. We're talking about OC. If you guys don't want to watch, you're gonna want to watch. You don't not want to.
I feel like in general, like even if people have a stigma about them and a thing about them, that's okay. You know, because not everyone likes them, and that's also okay.
Well,
but
not everyone likes us.
Exactly. So to get their perspective on the situation that just happened this week, which is mind blowing. I'm still thinking about that and how crazy that was, but also to get their reactions and their reflection on the current season of OC, I think it will be kind of fun.
Well, and also to be fair, I think it's interesting because Jeff Lewis used his own platform to talk about what went on with Shannon because he went out with her the night before. And I appreciate that because it kind of gives you a different context to the situation. But then for Kelly Dodd, she also did the same thing and she talked about it on her platform. But to have them on and so close to what's going on, I want to know.
Yeah,
but,
absolutely.
All right, guys, we love you so much. Go ahead, smash that like button, show some love, and we'll see you next time. Bye. Oh, Ebony Dix, thank you. Lisa Barlow is my hero. Hashtag go Lisa.
Really quick before we go, I do have to say we're seeing a different Lisa Barlow. I didn't like season 3 Lisa Barlow. Right now I'm adjusting to a season 4 Lisa Barlow. I hope we see a good season with Lisa Barlow.
Was season 3 Lisa Barlow the one where she's like
hot mic moments and just very like calling her lawyers, her like 6 lawyers, and like, you know, I mean, already she's starting with a $60,000 ring. Like if people, when your castmates are already sick of hearing about it within like 15 minutes of this happening, we're going to be sick of hearing about it watching it on television.
I mean, take that to the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. They'll be like, girl, that's like a pinky ring. Have fun.
60? Cute.
They're like, this Cartier ring was $189,000 and it was taken by victims.
Meredith is like, I think I have one on sale for 75.
She has earrings that are worth 30 that are on her, like.
Where are we getting these rocks? Where are they coming from that they're so expensive?
Don't be fooled by the rocks that I got. Okay. All right, guys. We're going to end up exiting this, but we will keep you posted. Check out X, or formerly known as Twitter. Check out our community tabs. Check out our Instagrams, all of the socials. We keep you posted on everything and vote in the polls. We love you guys. Thank you for participating in the live chat and also for all the super chats. And we'll see you tomorrow. Love you guys. Bye.